What's up, Team KB8? Now in my hand, I've got the XGIMI Halo portable projector that I've been using for roughly 2 months now. I've tried it in the UK and I've actually brought it over with me here in the Philippines, and I'm finally ready to share my final thoughts. You can find my full written review that I've published on my website at onetechtraveler.com. And if you think this is the right projector for you, or you want to explore the rest of XGIMI's range, then I'll also be putting links down below. This is the XGIMI Halo. Look up close, you can see the large glass optics for the projection autofocus sensor, the front and the sides, large perforated grills for the speakers, and they are powered by Harman Kardon, mainly for ventilation with large holes. And you also find all of the inputs to connect any external devices. We have the DC adapter for power, 3.5 headphone jack, one HDMI, and a USB port, the power button just next to it. It does have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth built in, and on the top, XGIMI logo with soft touch controls for volume, play, and pause. Connect any tripod stand is universal, and this slightly raised piece, if you don't have a stand, on tabletop to give it that little bit extra angle adjustment. That is literally it. There's a nice soft rubber footing across the entire of it, so if you are placing it on any surface, then it's not going to scratch or rub into it. It's roughly 1.6 kilograms, fairly reasonable but a noticeable heft, and you are looking at no thicker than a couple average sized books stacked next to each other. So the hardware of the XGIMI Halo, it feels great. I like the use of the premium plastic. It still feels really nice in the hand and high quality, but it helps to try and keep the weight as light as possible. Because it's quite easy to handle, you can see me holding it like this, it makes it easy to carry anywhere. I actually traveled with this and put it in my carry-on backpack, or my personal item backpack that you see here. And when I came over to the Philippines, I took it with me, placed it inside, zip it, and it made going through security or just carrying on to the plane very straightforward. Because it's got an internal battery, which I'll touch on in a moment, then you do have to put it in a backpack or a carry-on. Now, I've used quite a few projectors and I've always found them to be on either end of the spectrum. One side, they're very compact to travel with and super portable, and you'll find some that can fit inside your pocket, but they generally tend to lack the kind of quality you're looking for. They tend to be lower resolution, 480p, maybe 720p HD ready, and the sound, because they're super small, means that you really rely on external speakers to drive a great sound immersion. On the other side of it, you've got much bulkier projectors that you just can't really move around as easy or as fluidly, and maybe doesn't have an internal battery, which means it's really just for staying at home. The quality tends to be a lot better or sharper, up to 4K. However, they can be super expensive. So that leads me on to the XGIMI Halo. If you're someone who wanted to find a projector that is fairly compact to travel with, but gives you good quality projection, then look no further than the XGIMI Halo. And here's why. This can drive native full HD resolution, which means that you are getting great HD quality. Also means when you are blowing this up to 200 inches, which is huge, it will be able to retain a lot more detail than projectors that can only drive 720p or 480p in the ultra portable segment. Having full HD in this kind of size, there's really not that many out there, if at all. In this kind of package, the XGIMI Halo really delivers on that sense. Another thing I like about the Halo, it drives pretty good brightness, which means for the most part during the day, you can enjoy a good picture. On the low end of portable projectors, they tend to be around anywhere from 100 to 400. On the highest end, this one can drive 800, which means during the day, sometime in the morning, or even when you're watching under some natural lights, you can still see this with good brightness. The best results you're gonna get is in the evening, or when you're not using any lights, the image is going to look the brightest and the sharpest. But if you want to rely on using this as your main TV projector, 800 lumens is bright enough. I also really enjoyed the sound coming out of the XGIMI Halo. The Harman Kardon speakers are bold and bright enough for reasonable sized living rooms or even if you're outdoors, the sound, if you're close to the projector, you're gonna get a good level of immersion. Having dedicated speakers or just ones that are much larger are going to drive punchier bass, greater soundstage compared to these speakers. But the mids are full-bodied, the trebles deliver great clarity, and also even if you're putting this at max volume, I didn't get any kind of distortion. So when I'm cranking it up to really try and feel the sound, it's really pleasant and great sound quality. There is some level of bass, it's more subtle and present, but nothing hard hitting. So if you do want that kind of level of immersion, you still may want to connect external speakers either by Bluetooth or wired. But as they are great. Now, the feature which turns off the projection display and allows you to use this just as audio speakers is simple, but honestly, it's such a great feature to have. There are many times I've switched from using this in my living room or in my room, and I've just taken it out to the garden because there's a nice sunset and I want to just sit on the garden sofa with a fire pit. I just carry it, put it on the floor, and I've got great vibes to enjoy the landscape and listen to my music.
Stepping in the spot like she own it. Looking like the world is your runway. She can set it off like a gunplay. Oh my, yeah. Talk of the city with the body. Always getting praised like it's Sunday. She said, baby, what you gonna do about it? Loving your vibe, girl. That energy got. Baby, all I need is you. All I need is you. You right next to me. And I should call you, see what you've been up to. I've been wondering, how far did you go in 7 months? I bet you're happy and don't think that much about me. Here I am, not knowing how to move on without you.
It's a feature that all portable projectors should have, and having it in this kind of projector, because the sound quality is actually pretty good, you're gonna enjoy this a lot more. And it kind of is like a 2-in-1 projector slash speaker to travel with, even better. Speaking of battery, yes, it does have one built in, and yes, it's also pretty good. I would roughly equate it to one full-length movie and maybe one 1-hour episode streaming on, say, Netflix, Crunchyroll, Prime Video, on Amazon, Apple TV, Disney Plus, whichever you decide to choose, and apps that are pre-installed in the XGIMI Halo. You're looking at roughly 4 or 5 1-hour long episodes. In essence, up to 4 hours of battery life, which is more than reasonable enough. Would I like the battery to last a bit longer? Yes, but at the same time, for the way I think it strikes a nice balance where you're not reaching for the cord or to charge it because it's running out during a full-length movie. I think it kind of nails the average amount of time that I might be using this projector. When you're using this just as a portable speaker, you can roughly expect the same, up to 4 hours, when I'm playing it on max volume, anywhere between 2 to 4, give or take. If I drop it down to 50%, then you can see that roughly double, up to 8 hours. And then on ambient sound level, if I just want something in the background playing, then you can expect up to 12. But of course, that does depend on your usage. They are roughly in line with the kind of numbers you'd expect from dedicated portable speakers. So again, since the audio on this is pretty great and having very solid projection, a 2-in-1 system, it adds a lot of value in this small little device. But of course, the most important question to ask is, how is the projector itself? So the image quality up to full HD resolution, that makes blowing it up to 120 inches that I've been able to try it on a blank wall that I have available, still relatively sharp and bright enough to use. Using it in the night or when there's no lights on gives me more of a cinema experience, but using it during the day, the image might feel generally a bit washed out, but it holds up a lot better than other projectors that aren't as bright, or you have to spend a crazy amount to get super bright ANSI lumens. The 800 here suffices in pretty much most of your watching situations, except being under the brightest natural light. This is going to do a great job. But if you find you want a little bit more, the Halo Plus is an enhanced version of this. It gives you 900 instead of 800, which as a measurement might be hard to discern between the two, but does pump out a little bit more brightness in your image. And it has a faster motion engine. But for the most part, standard gaming, anything casual party adventures, the Halo handles it well on my Nintendo Switch. Of course, you can plug your laptop to this, and I have used it to extend or use it as my main display. And the image is fine. Wouldn't be my primary monitor, but if you want to just enlarge your image from your laptop, also works great when I'm connecting it and editing on Adobe Premiere. It's fun to use, not my primary driver, but for productivity, extra screen real estate. There are a few extra features that really separate the XGIMI Halo, and when I think of it all, very fluid and responsive navigation around the operating system. I've never once had any kind of hiccups, stutters, or freezing, so it's very reliable. It runs Google's Android TV out of the box, and it's using OS version 9. It isn't the latest one, which I believe is version 12 right now, but it still picked up security updates when I needed to. The slight differences you might get between the Android TV versions, maybe the different dashboard layouts, Play App Store integration, is fairly minimal. The fundamental experience is the same. And for the most part, I'm very happy using the Android TV version on XGIMI Halo. The only app that is an exception to that rule and isn't exclusive to the Halo or any of XGIMI's range is Netflix. So you'll find the Netflix app built in, but you most likely come across an error saying you aren't able to use Netflix. That's a licensing issue that has kind of plagued a lot of projectors out there. Isn't exclusive to the Halo, and you can work around it. It takes a few extra steps, but it can be done. Other features, it's got 3D mode where you can play back media. I don't have active shutter glasses. The dynamic refocusing, it's great. It means anytime that I'm bringing it to another room or I move it or when it's starting up, it's going to automatically focus, and it focuses really reliably. Every time I move it, it's going to always optimize the image, so it's super sharp and it's not out of focus, but you can also manually trigger it from the remote control. It has true keystone orientation, so anytime I'm moving this in the vertical sense, it will automatically adjust the image. It doesn't do horizontal, so I will have to make some slight adjustments if I'm moving it this way, but vertically it works every time. Calibrating the image when I'm moving it around is very easy to use, and I'm spending less time in the settings and more time just streaming and consuming content. You'll find a variety of picture profiles to adjust the image to your liking. Fairly contrasty, but there's a lot of customizable options like sharpness, noise reduction, brightness. The brightest and sharpest images naturally are when it's fairly small. Anything up to 50 inches, image always looks very bright and sharp. I'd say the maximum image I was happy projecting on a larger size was anywhere between 85 and 100. If you got a wall larger than 120, then this can project well. I would only reserve those for real nighttime scenarios when you don't have any other lights. So overall, the XGIMI Halo, an excellent portable projector that feels premium and delivers a great solid experience. And I think for the price point, it hits a nice sweet spot in terms of value for money. Is it worth it upgrading to the Halo Plus? I think for most people, the Halo would be more than enough. I'm happy using this. The extra brightness and the motion engine are nice to have, but the Halo is great on its own. Are there a few things that I would like to see? For me, since I've traveled around with this, a USB-C port and the ability to charge through power delivery, it means I can leave my mains adapter for home and just charge it through my power bank or just using USB-C. That makes it more travel friendly. I honestly don't mind. Android TV version 12 or 13 is again a nice to have, but what it does very well. Thanks a lot for joining me in this video review, Team KBA. If you find the video useful, give it a big thumbs up, and you can also find links down below if you think this is the right projector for you, and read my written review on my website at onetechtraveler.com. See you in the next video, but until then, keep being awesome. Peace.